Hi divas, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is not coffee talk. This is a Q&A, but I do have a coffee. You all submitted your questions over the course of about a month, and I am here to answer them today as a Q&A, 6-month Q&A since the declutter with Space Maker, and anything else that you're kind of wondering about me. I did not intend to do like a super dramatic eye look today, but there was an incident. My eyeshadow palette fell on the floor and it was expensive, and I wanted the dust to go to use instead of get sucked up by the vacuum. So here we are. We're doing glam. So I have all of these questions that you all asked, and I want to answer them as best as I can. I'm gonna cut this out. Just as a disclaimer, I do want to go ahead and protect some of my privacy. So if there's something that I feel like I can't answer or I don't want to answer, I will probably skip it. But for the most part, I'm an open book. Let me get into it. Are you liking the departments you set up with April, or are you adjusting things? I am loving most of the departments that April and I set up. I haven't had to adjust too much. There have been a couple of little tweaks that I've made that have been kind of, oh, I need this more in my line of vision so that I remember to use it, if I'm doing kind of a use it up challenge like I am in my skincare department. And there have been like a couple of additions that I've made in terms of a couple of things, but for the most part, everything is about the same as when April was here. I do have like a little paper or mail bin that kind of lives on my table, and it can get quickly like moved into one place or another, and organized and sorted through, etc. And there have been a couple of, just trying to think. Yeah, pretty much everything is the same. Pretty much everything's the same. And I am liking it. What does your family think of your exposure sharing your apartment and your life? Actually, it's so funny because when my final episode aired, my dad joined the Coffee and Clutter Facebook group, and he posted that he was really proud of me in there, and he was just tickled pink that everybody in the group like gave his post a thumbs up, and he was just over the moon. He's really proud. He tells me it's like part of his routine to, when he wakes up, put on some of my videos, because my dad lives and my mom live in California and I live in New York, so we are far away from each other. We don't get to see each other often, though we do talk on the phone a couple times a week. And they're really proud of me. They don't necessarily like understand YouTube as like a career option necessarily, but they are really proud and they are really excited. My mom is a bit more of a worrier, so she always reminds me to be careful and to sort of protect, where I am and protect my identity and stuff. But everybody's pretty happy. Roughly, what is your age? Sometimes you look like you're 16, and other times you look like you're 30. I've actually gotten this question quite a bit. I will tell you that I am more than 21 and I am less than 40. I kind of like, I have posted my age online before, but because I'm in the performing arts industry, I kind of want to keep it a little hush hush a little bit longer, because I've been told that I look quite young for my real age, and so I kind of prefer people to, I'm not ashamed of how old I am, but as I want to get back into singing and performing, the industry itself can be a bit ageist. So I don't want to be like too loud and proud about how old I am. I will say that I am in my early 30s, late 20s. That's what I'll say. Car in the city, how do you deal with parking? It is a journey. It is an adventure. I moved here in my car from Kansas City, where I got my master's degree. And I was at the time doing gigs, singing gigs, church gigs in Connecticut and New Jersey, which take, sometimes 2 hours by train, but just 1 hour by car. So it was kind of a no-brainer to keep it. Parking in the city is very challenging. You can pay a lot of money for a spot in a parking garage, or you can kind of rough it in the streets and circle the block looking for parking, or park kind of far away from where you live. I have been lucky since I've been at home sick that I have been able to find spots pretty close to where I live, and it's worked out for me. As I continue to get busier, and hopefully as my debt reduces and I have a bit more income, hopefully I can pay for a garage spot so that my car is inside and safe, and also I don't have to do the whole like parking search thing all the time, because it can be a pain, and also like it does inform when I use my car and when I don't, in that like, oh, if I get back after a certain time, parking is going to be impossible. Oh, I don't want to lose my parking spot, so I am going to avoid doing this thing that I would be able to do if I just took my car. So it's not an ideal situation right now, but keeping my car makes a lot more accessible to me, especially as somebody with a disability and chronic illness. So I do plan to keep it for the foreseeable future. Do you think April will ever return for a second pass like she has done with Danny? I have gotten this question a lot, and I did talk about it in one of my coffee talks. I don't know. I think it's possible April could return for a second pass, but Danny's second pass happened a solid 2 years after her first declutter. For me, it's only been 6 months, so I'm still settling into my decluttered home. I'm still really enjoying all the space that I have and kind of getting accustomed to it. I am still kind of figuring out what works, what doesn't, and while a lot has like changed since my first declutter, also like my life has been changing since my first declutter. I got a new job. I've started singing since the last time, since April was here. And so there's a lot of like stuff and things that are more geared toward a lifestyle where I'm able to be out and about a bit more, that I've held on to kind of with a question mark to see what I need or what I like or whatever. And I'm not in a place yet to think critically about those things and downsize in those categories. But, give it a year or two. It's definitely a possibility. April's not closed down to the possibility of that. I do know that there is like a lot coming for Spacemaker as a business and as a YouTube channel. And I am definitely like in the Spacemaker family, and I will definitely continue to be involved on the channel in the future. How are you? I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing good. I feel like when I was looking for a job, I was really stressed. Stressed about money, stressed about um, what the future might hold. And like, there was so much uncertainty. And now that I have my job and, I have a lot of like positive things going for me, I am doing really good. I feel like I have a little bit of my spark back. And the decluttered home definitely helps. Still gets messy every once in a while, still needs a reset every once in a while, but it's so much better for me in Sunshine than it used to be. Have you forgotten where anything you put away in the declutter is? Occasionally, I like, for example, like my travel department, I realized that I had two areas for like travel sized items, and I haven't 100% cracked the code on like where that should be permanently. I have it in my like personal care department, but also in my little like use it up skincare area. And I also had like some travel inside my suitcase, which makes perfect sense. And April and I sort of had those departments, except for the use it up skincare area. Like, we had those all kind of picked out when April was here, but I think we just kind of like stumbled upon things and like made a new category for them without realizing about the old one. But other than that one category, no, not really. I feel like I know where everything is now, and it's really fantastic. There have been a couple times where like where my junk drawer used to be, I will pull it out and realize something's not in there, and I'll be like, oh, it's in the other drawer, and then I find it, which is pretty great. What else? No, like, other than that, no, I pretty much know where everything is. It's awesome. It's awesome. Lawrence, Kansas. Smash or pass, rock chalk. I went to the University of Kansas for my master's degree. Rock chalk is the saying, and it is in Lawrence, Kansas, which is the cutest little college town. It's about a 30-minute drive from Kansas City, so I usually tell people Kansas City, but it is Lawrence, Kansas. And if you're ever in Lawrence, Kansas, there's this bakery there called 1900 Barker. It is so good. They make the fluffiest, flakiest croissants ever, and they have delicious coffee. It's amazing. I need a pep talk. Thoughts on resilience, grit, bouncing back, etc. First of all, this was a while ago, and I think I responded to you in my Instagram stories in real time. But what I want to say is the Navy SEALs used to have a saying that used to resonate a lot with me, that was failure is not an option. And I used to kind of hold on to that, and for myself when I was feeling down or stuck, and I used to just sort of tell myself, failure is not an option. And I still believe that failure is not an option, but I do think that if you don't get exactly what you think you're going to get out of a situation, or you don't do something in the manner that you think that you're going to, that it's not a failure, it's like a learning lesson. And I think that no matter what happens, it was either a success or a lesson. And when something really gets you down, not in a toxic positivity way, because you can still feel your emotions about things, but if you see it as an opportunity to sort of like rise to the occasion, a lot of times that mindset will help kind of propel you forward to the next thing. And I love seeing things as opportunities in general. Like, meeting somebody is an opportunity, not just for like what you can get in terms of like connection or networking or whatever, but like in terms of what you can learn, or fascinating facts or stories or whatever. It's also an opportunity for connection with somebody, and I think that's an amazing thing. in terms of bouncing back, everybody is on their own timeline. And I think since the COVID pandemic, everyone gives people a lot more grace in terms of achievement and timeline and stuff. And so I would just take that to heart in terms of like, you know, you're going to do what you're going to do when you're going to do it, and it's your story, and that's what makes you special, and that's what makes you you. And you wouldn't be able to accomplish these things without your experience and your history and all the places that you come from. So just try to remember that in terms of like, if you're like, oh, I wish that I was younger, I wish, you know, I had done this faster. If you had done it faster, you might not be able to do it from the same mindset or the same heart space, or you might approach it from a completely different way that might not work out in the way that it's meant to. So whatever it is, you can do it. You can do it. What are your income streams? Living in New York City seems expensive. It is expensive. It's like, I read something that it actually is higher than San Francisco in terms of expense. It feels like everything here costs so much, not just the rent, but even the groceries, everything. What are my income streams? So now I have a job, which is fantastic. Before I had the job, I was receiving unemployment. I have just started making some money on YouTube. And in the past, I also was making money from singing professionally on the weekends. I'm not doing that right now, but I hope to do it again in the future soon. And my YouTube channel is growing, and I find that to be very exciting. I have been getting some emails that have been inquiring about sponsorships. I have not said yes to anybody yet or anything, but it's very excited like at the possibility that I could make more money from YouTube. In the past, I was also a virtual assistant for some spiritual businesses where I was, you know, doing their emails and posting on their social medias for them. And I found that to be very gratifying because I felt like those businesses were helping people. And so keeping the business owners organized, I did find that to be helpful. And they were very part-time. Favorite things about living in the city, favorite activities. I feel like I have the world at my fingertips living in the city. And I think that sounds a little dramatic or romanticized, but I don't care. It's how I feel. I can take a train and see a Broadway show. I can take a train and in 30 minutes be at the Metropolitan Opera, which is one of the greatest opera companies in the whole world. I can, you know, jump in my car and drive to, you know, Brooklyn or Queens or, you know, up the Hudson Valley and pick apples. I feel like I literally have the entire world at my fingertips living in the city. I'm somebody who loves art museums. I love the performing arts. I love being outside in nature, in the parks. I love walking around and exploring new neighborhoods. One of my favorite activities to do, especially if I'm with a friend or a partner, is walking around in the neighborhoods and kind of like peeking at the different apartments and like imagining who lives there based on what's in their window. And sort of exploring new shops, new cafes, new eateries, etc. I love just exploring. I think it's wonderful, and new areas of the city, new towns, new cities as well. Where did you purchase the blueberry coffee? I don't remember. It was a while ago. Where I did summer stock at a theater in New Hampshire, and up there they had blueberry coffee. So every time I drink blueberry coffee, I think of that summer where I did summer stock. And it like transports me right back. So I think I bought it thinking about that place. New London, New Hampshire is the town, but I don't remember where I actually bought it. I'm sorry. Have you talked to Roberta lately, and is she continuing to declutter on her own once she got to start with April? No, I have not talked to Roberta since her declutter with April. She was really sweet. We had dinner together. I had dinner with her family and April and Jackson in New Jersey when she was like 3 days into her declutter, and she was really starting to kind of get going and gain momentum. But I have not talked with her since, and I wonder if she has kept up with it or kept decluttering, because it really looked like she was kind of catching the feeling of that declutter and like really starting to enjoy herself. Sunshine origin story. I have a video about that. I will link it here. What are some of your favorite albums and your favorite artist you've seen in concert? I saw Katie Tunstall in concert with a friend when I was like very young, and I will always think very fondly about that concert experience. But I think my favorite artist I've seen in concert was Kesha. The visuals, the dancing, like the absolute nostalgic like element of Kesha's music for me. I love Kesha. I think she's like an incredible artist. I know that some people like don't care for the sound of her music. It's very pop, very dancey, but it just like fills me with so much joy. I saw her in an amphitheater outside when I was living in San Diego, and it was an incredible night. And there was like pyrotechnics and everything. I love classical concerts though. I love like just about every genre of music I really enjoy. I loved the halftime show this year, Bad Bunny. What is it? And my favorite albums right now, I'm listening to a band called Cannons, and I find it like they have just such a groove that I love. And so their albums are like I'm really enjoying. I loved Brat by Charlie XCX. I love a lot of pop music, but I also love like a little bit of everything. But that's kind of what I'm listening to right now. What jobs have you been interviewing for? What industry? I sort of covered this in my I Got a Job video. I will link it above. But I was interviewing in the tech and finance spaces, and I wound up in finance again, similar to my last job. Has any subscriber given you advice that you actually put into action? I don't know. I don't think so. I read all the comments, and I do take a lot of what you guys say very seriously. With the exception, no offense, of medical advice, because I have a medical team. But I do tend to always look into what you guys suggest. You guys have given me some book suggestions that I haven't gotten to read yet, but I intend to read, and I like have them saved on my New York Public Library app. And there has to have been a couple of suggestions here and there that I have done, but I just can't remember them off the top of my head. But I do read all your comments, and I do really, really appreciate them, and I do take them very seriously. I am not somebody who is dismissive of these things, but I also do try to listen to what you guys say about not taking the negative comments to heart. What positive aspects did you notice after the summer declutter? So many. Sunshine loves to kind of skitter around and play and get the zoomies now. I feel like I have so much more mental space and clarity after the declutter. I also feel like I have entered a completely new chapter in my life since the declutter. I feel like it sort of transitioned me from really feeling chronically ill and sick and stuck into a more like active, healthy place in my life. And it just meant the world to me that April and Jackson sort of like took a chance on me and saw that I was really serious about decluttering, and came here and helped me in the manner that they did. It just means the absolute world to me. And it truly changed my life. It changed how I feel about myself. It changed my mental health. It changed my physical health. It changed my buying habits. It changed how I eat. I can cook better now. I can, it changed so much for me. I would love to be your pen pal. I live in Swedish, but I am terrified to write in English. Give it a shot. Write in my comments and I'll answer. I will write you back. I feel like it's like when you're learning a language, I speak some languages from my opera training and also from before my opera training. And the best thing you can do is try enthusiastically, and that like gets you so many points, and people will try to speak with you. My first language that I learned was French, and I know people feel some type of way about trying to speak French in Paris, and they say like the French people are mean or whatever, but every time I've tried to speak French in France, granted I do have a good accent, but every time I've tried to speak French in France, everyone has been like thrilled to speak back with me, and like there's no hard feelings or weirdness there. So let's go. Let's write in the comments. What are some habits or behaviors you noticed change after the big declutter with April? I am much more likely to stick to a shopping list now than I was before. I am a lot better with impulse buying. I'm not perfect, but better. I am a lot better, especially at the grocery store, with buying, like sticking to what I need versus what's on sale. Also with clothing, I have like a list of like clothing that I'm kind of on the hunt for secondhand, and I'm more likely to stick to that list than like impulse buy something new. I've been pretty much on an almost no buy in terms of makeup. I've obviously, mascara expires every 3 months, so I have been buying occasional mascara. But other than that, a lot of my buying habits have changed. I'm not browsing on Amazon anymore, and I'm not looking to go shopping to feel better inside anymore. Now I feel so much better in my space and in my home that it's like I don't need to. And I think a lot more critically about consumerism and marketing than I used to. So if people are reviewing a product and it comes across my feed, I check to see if it's sponsored. I check to see, does this person do a lot of sponsored posts? Do I care about this person's opinion? Why does this person want me to think either good or bad about this product? I'm also more likely to look like, is this real or is it a scam? Is this company using somebody else's photos to market these products? Like on Shein, I never really was like a big Shein shopper, but like one of the things that they do is they will like take photos from a high-end website and use those photos and then do like a cruddy replica of the product and like mail out like the same garment but made out of like plastic tissue paper instead. So and I'm trying to think more sustainably and ethically about where I'm buying from. I do still purchase from Amazon sometimes. I don't like it. I try to avoid it where I can. I buy a lot secondhand. I ask to borrow in my community. And I try to think about also when I'm buying something, where am I going to put this? Do I have room for this? And a lot of times the answer is no. This person also asked if Sunshine is the best kitty cat ever, and I will say yes, she is. She is a true Cinderella story who went from being the cat that nobody wanted in the shelter to the cuddliest, clingiest, most loving cat in the whole world, and I love her. What gives you hope as somebody living with chronic illness? Thank you. What gives me hope? So this could be a whole video. This could be a whole video. As somebody living with chronic illness for which there is no cure and there are very limited treatments, it can feel very easy to get like swallowed up by the possibility, like the unknown. What gives me hope is, well, for me personally, I look from where I started to where I am now, and I can see a huge difference, right? I can do a lot more. I'm not stuck in bed all the time. I'm feeling better overall. I'm getting stronger. My treatments are working, and I am constantly sort of perusing and seeing what options there are for even more treatments for my chronic illness. And the fact that research is still being done on COVID and long COVID and vaccine injury does give me a lot of hope for the future in terms of treatments for long COVID and post-viral syndromes. I mentioned vaccine injury because I know that can be a very controversial topic. There are people with my symptoms who were injured by the COVID vaccine. There are also a lot of people who got the COVID vaccine who are completely fine. But that does exist, and it's important that I acknowledge them because, they often find themselves in the same category as me, and I just want to do my due diligence and be fair. I personally received the COVID vaccine, and I was completely fine and unaffected. I actually received it as a part of a clinical trial, so I could have received the vaccine or a placebo, and I thought I had received the placebo, but I received the vaccine. And I had no health issues. I actually felt great until, unfortunately, I caught COVID 2 years after that. 2 years after that? Yeah, 2 years after that, I caught COVID, and then that is when all of my long COVID symptoms started, unfortunately. So what gives me hope? I have seen improvement. There are other people who have improved and even fully recovered or consider themselves to be fully recovered. I have grown so much from my condition and getting diagnosed, and the personal growth that I felt from this process. I feel like I'm a completely different person now than I used to be, and I'm so proud of who I've become that also does give me hope. I do think that my long COVID is something that I may always have to manage in terms of fatigue, in terms of reinfection, and other things, but it is something that I feel hopeful that, maybe it won't affect me every day anymore at some point in the future. Do you think you would enjoy helping someone else declutter? I would love that. I would love to help someone else declutter, actually. I think that would be amazing. Why do you like music? I'm asking because my dad, as a hobby, sings in a choir. He's been doing it since he was a child. Singing makes him happy and helps with his tinnitus. Please talk with us about your relationship with music and singing. It would be super interesting. That could also be a whole separate video, and maybe it will be at some point. I was born into a musical family. My mother is a singer, and my dad also always sang in church choir and played the piano. Music has always been a very important part of my life. My godfather was on Broadway. My mom was on Broadway. And it's something that I has always kind of been in my blood and in my upbringing. And it's a universal language, and it really speaks to the heart. And I think that art and music are so important and vital, and they connect every person on this earth. So that's one of the reasons why I love music. How many states have you been to? If you were to move from New York, where would you go? So I've lived in Connecticut, Nashville, Tennessee, Lawrence, Kansas, and San Diego, California, as well as New York City. I have also driven across the country multiple times, and I've been to a lot of states. I want to say I've been to at least 20 states. Colorado, Iowa, Pennsylvania. I've been like all over. I have not been to Idaho yet. I've not been to Wyoming yet. Have I been? Oh, yes, I have been to Wyoming. I have been to Wyoming. I've not been to Montana yet. Have I been to Minnesota? I have been to Wisconsin, but I don't think I have been to Minnesota. So like a lot of the more northern and northwestern states. I don't think I've been to Washington State yet either. But I've been to a lot of states. I've driven across the country like 3 times. And I've tried to, even though a lot of times I'm kind of just driving through, I do try to like stop off and try to enjoy everywhere that I have been. And I really love a road trip, and I want to do more road trips in the future for sure. And that was from Carrie from South Carolina. Thank you. Would you do a video on the pictures on your walls and the meaning they have to you? Sure. I'd be happy to do that. I will do that in the future for sure. Any advice on supporting someone in your life that has a chronic illness? Listen to them, believe them. A lot of times people with chronic illness feel very guilty asking for help. I know I do and did. So if you can do something anticipatory for them, like, you know, making them a water bottle before they have to ask, or, you know, saying, hey, you know, I'd love to, I know that you have neck pain. I'd love to give you like a neck rub, or like, hey, I got your heating pad ready because I know you've had a long day, or something like that. It helps a lot when we don't have to ask, because we feel like we're always asking for stuff, and it can make us feel guilty or shameful if, you know, if we haven't kind of gotten to that place yet where we feel okay about asking. Not questioning or like minimizing what someone with chronic illness is saying is also really important. I know that for me, when I first got diagnosed, I would ask people to mask, and so that I could avoid getting sick. And some people wanted to minimize my concerns or try to like brush it away. And that made me not want to be around them and not want to spend time with them. And that was really hard. So just listening and believing the person. You know, if somebody says that they're in pain, they are probably definitely in pain if they're getting to the point they're telling you about it. Let's see what else. Oh no. Genuine question, and I don't want it to sound rude in any way. I know you said from the series with April that clothes is your thing, but don't you think that this amount of clothes overwhelms more than causes joy? Because realistically, it is hard to be able to wear them all, and it is hard to give you the chance to buy any new because it is already a lot. No, not really. I mean, to be like, have I been overwhelmed by the amount of clothes that I own? Sure. Does it regularly overwhelm me? No, it does not. I enjoy having options to choose from. I enjoy being able to express myself through my clothing. And it's possible in the future that I will downsize more, but right now I'm feeling like pretty good about everything, and I plan to look through everything seasonally and continue to refine what I have. But yeah, no, not really. not really. What was your biggest expectation versus reality shock? What you had when you moved to New York City? What was the biggest? I moved to New York City in 2019, and I feel like so much has happened since then that it's hard to say. The thing that I will say is that, especially with finding an apartment, I feel like it's so much more about who you know than like the process of searching and finding, and you have to be so diligent about looking. There are apartments that are rent stabilized, which means like the rents contractually have to be lower, or and can only be raised a certain amount each year or each lease renewal. But they're very competitive and they're very hard to find. I found this apartment through my voice teacher at the time, and I will always be grateful to her for that, because it was, the person before me had been living here for so long. It was an absolute steal on rent for the time. Now an apartment like this would probably, like, for market rate, which has no limitations on the landlord, this could probably easily rent for $3,000. So I would say that, like, it's so much about getting to know people, making friends, and you can have like the most magical experiences with who you meet and who you get to know. But you do have to kind of like get out and be out there and meet people. The subway is also can be very long and very tiring and very draining. It's not in Sex and the City, the show, they take cabs everywhere, so you don't even really get to see it. But in a show like Girls on HBO or some other New York City shows where they show the subway, it's like only like a quick little bloop. Sometimes those rides can be like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. That's why a lot of people get a lot of reading done, or they'll listen to podcasts. But yeah, it can be a bit of a slog. Have you taken your items to the consignment shops yet, and have they been lucrative in doing so versus donating items? Yes, actually, I think I talked about it in my winter fall clothing declutter. I made $500 from decluttering all of those clothes, so I felt good about it. What is the last book that made you stay up way too late just to finish one more chapter? Oh, the heartbreaking. Oh, I'm gonna link it. I'm also gonna link my crazy eyeshadow and my mascara as well, but I'm gonna link this book. It's called The Something of Heartbreak and Magic, and the author's last name is Randall, and it was like such a delightful read. It felt a little bit like young adult-ish, but it is like a fully adult book, and it had like magic in it, and it was like a small town. It felt very like Gilmore Girls-y. It was so delightful, and I read it when I was house sitting over New Year's, and it was so wonderful. What is the most New York City thing that has happened to you? I'm trying to think. What is the most New York City thing that has happened to you? I snagged a free ticket to my friend's off-Broadway show, got invited out to hang with the cast afterward, and I was too broke at the time because I had just moved to New York City and spent all my money, and I didn't have anything, so I was drinking seltzer water. While I was out with the cast, they all wanted to go to this gay bar, and I went to the gay bar and I met someone, and we got to talking, and it turned out that they were a makeup artist for all of the biggest opera stars, including my absolute heroes at the time. And we spent like 2 hours talking, and he is still a dear friend of mine to this day. I stayed out until like 4 o'clock in the morning that night, and I like walked home when the city was like all like very quiet after meeting somebody who I felt like I could, you know, potentially make my dreams come true somehow. And through him I met my hero, Eileen Perez, who's like a really wonderful soprano, American soprano, who sings roles like Violetta and Tosca and Micaela and like all of the leading lady parts. I would like to know why you're exchanging items for store credit rather than money, because where I'm bringing the items, the value back that I get from store credit is almost double what I would get back in cash. And also the consignment store requires a lot of advance notice for cash sale appointments, and typically I don't have enough advance notice to book. So that is why, and also because I like to support them, and I typically wind up like using the store credit, so it works out. Can we have a mini bathroom tour? Oh my gosh, you guys. I will film like a get ready with me in my really tiny bathroom, but that was like so goofy. Did you do any major changes since the video to your space? Nothing major. Did you guys ever argue or get agitated during your time on Spacemaker, or was it completely positive? I would like to know the tea. There are so many people who think that April is like a secret monster behind the scenes. Like, I've gotten like several of these questions. April is just as kind and patient as you see in front of the camera. Yes, there's times where she does her little Julia, but that's on camera too, and I do not blame her. I can be frustrating, especially when it came to all of my stuff, but no, we are true friends, and the declutter, we became true friends. Like, I just sent April a 12-minute voice memo this morning, and she left me a 6-minute voice memo last night. Obviously there's a big time difference, but no, April is not a secret meanie behind the camera. She's amazing. I sort of covered some of these other questions. Do you feel like you don't need to buy anything anymore? I sort of talked about how I'm not in a full no buy, but I'm in an almost no buy for several categories. And yes, I am cooking more often. Would you ever consider doing a meet and greet? I'm not going to say never, but it would be really challenging. Potentially. Stay tuned on that. What are some great spots in New York City, food, drinks, shopping, parks that you love and feel everyone must go to? There are so many, actually. I do intend to take you guys more to like places out and about, especially now that the weather is getting nice. And I will talk more about this as I go forward. For now, I love my neighborhood. I live in Upper Manhattan, Harlem, Washington Heights, Inwood, and there is a little gem of a museum up here that is like a branch of the Metropolitan Museum of Art called the Cloisters Museum, and it has medieval art, and it's like built into a castle up at the top of Manhattan. And there's this beautiful garden with a scenic overlook of the Hudson River. You can see the George Washington Bridge and the beautiful green Palisades across the river in New Jersey. And it is a little known gem that is really beautiful and special. And there are a bunch of little cafes and restaurants, a little bookshop up in that area. It's a cool day if you have time and you want to come uptown. I also loved where I spent my birthday, which is called Bath House in Williamsburg. It was really, really fun. Can you tell us the story of your favorite time singing and what did you love about it, and do you have a favorite song to sing? Gosh, like, this is really hard. I don't have a favorite song to sing, not right now. I think when I'm working on a song, I sort of like put all of my love into it. My favorite time singing, my older sister, my older half sister got married in a church in France that was like 500 years old, and she asked me to sing the Ave Maria at her wedding, and that was really, really special. And it was my first time singing in like a 500-year-old church in France, and it was pretty incredible. But since I've gotten older, because that was when I was like 18, since I've gotten older, I've sung in Italy, and that was really special in like a 500-year-old opera house. I have sung in the mountains in Italy. I've sung in New York at the American Opera Center, or the National Opera Center here in New York City. I've done a lot of like really special singing. It's really hard for me to pick a favorite, but I think the best feeling is when you're singing a song that really fits your voice really well, and you can sort of let go of all of the technical stuff and thinking about your vocal technique, and just kind of like enjoy being in the moment of the song and thinking about what the song means and trying to convey those emotions authentically and connect with the audience. That's like the greatest feeling in the world. It's almost like a high. It's because of the adrenaline and everything, and being up there in front of people. It's amazing. It's amazing. What is your go-to Chinese takeout order? I love egg drop wonton soup. That I get with every takeout order, no matter what I'm getting. But my go-to is probably General Tso's chicken. There's just something about a little bit of sweet, a little bit of spicy that I love. I also love lo mein, and I love mei fun as well. I'll typically get it with chicken, sometimes beef. I also love like the sauteed string beans. Those are really good too. And I think that is it. What is the latest on your singing opera career? On Long COVID Awareness Day this year, I actually sang in front of a few of my singer friends and colleagues for the first time since I got sick. I am in talks with people about potentially performing at later in 2026, to be determined, not anything set in stone yet. And yeah, a lot of good things on the horizon. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted questions. I know this is a really long video, but I wanted to answer everybody's questions. And I thank you so much to everybody who submitted questions. I really, really appreciate you all sending them in. I will do more Q&As like this in the future, but I wanted to do a long one, 6-month check-in since Spacemaker and life and everything. I really appreciate you guys and asking me these questions and sending them in and being patient with me with filming. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I am doing New York City content here, chronic illness content, life as an artist and singer type content here. And I plan to have a lot more of that for you guys in the future soon. If you liked this video, like this video. If you didn't like this video, leave a comment for me. And if you want more people to see my channel, more people to subscribe and become a part of the fam, consider hyping this video, which shares this video to more people. Also, we have memberships. Check out memberships. They get a little bit more behind the scenes photos and content. And it's also a way to support the channel, support me, help it to grow. And I think that is all. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks for being here. If you've made it this far, leave your favorite emoji in the comments and more questions. I'll try to answer them all. And I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, thanks. Love you. Bye.